you were the about the third chairman of the PDP from Oro Nation. We had Joe Atang, we had Tony Emeyi. Particularly Tony Emeyi, I was so close to him. I brought him to my local government area, I think on 2 occasions, very consequential meetings. And then you emerged. Your emergence was with the difference. You fought to emerge. You were not a table here. And then I'm giving this rundown so that it will help us to be very fast about it. You introduced writing of examinations.
Oh, I wonder.
For councillors and chairmen to emerge in Akwa Ibom State. Never heard of in the history of Nigeria. Tell us about
the world.
Of the world. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Citizen MKO.
Thank you, sir.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
It's my pleasure, sir.
And let me put your mind at rest. The fact that I am very shy about being addressed as His Excellency doesn't mean I don't qualify to be addressed.
Overqualified, sir.
No. I mean, even formally, officially. My wife was the ambassador to Ethiopia and Nigeria's permanent representative in the AU.
Interesting.
And both of us acquired that title, Your Excellency.
No wonder my spirit was telling me, call him Your Excellency.
There are people who keep it and you are entitled to keep it.
Absolutely.
I don't hold with titles. I'm just total.
No, repeat the positions your wife held.
Oh, she's held hundreds of.
The one in Ethiopia and in the AU.
Okay, she was the ambassador to Ethiopia, ambassador extra potential, whatever they call it, to Djibouti, plenipotentiary to Djibouti, and then Nigeria's permanent representative in the African Union.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I spent 4 interesting years in Ethiopia, attending dinners and speaking big grammar. Very nice. Very
interesting. Never heard of. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we don't go about plastering those things.
Absolutely. Now let's get to the party. You became the national state chairman of the PDP.
That's correct.
And you brought intellectual content, and you made some persons to run away from their aspirations.
No, I don't think that's a fair statement. We followed the rules, and it's as simple as that. The PDP had rules, and a man who can read and understand those rules just follows it. It's just that simple. I introduced a few, how would you call it, innovative things into it. That is, if you want to be chairman, you want to be councillor, that's good. You are not stopped from being chairman or councillor. But come and tell us why you want to be chairman or councillor.
That's right.
And since everybody could not do it at the same time, I said, look, come into this hall and write it down in a paper.
Simple as that.
Yes, if you want to write 10 pages.
It wasn't jam. It was simple. Why do you want to be this?
Why do you want to be whatever you want to be? Chairman.
What shocked you from that experience? What shocked you most from that experience?
No, I think the shock should really be that there were very many honest people who just stayed away and never came back.
That is what I said earlier. I said you scared some baskets from me.
And there were others who came into the exam room and because you see, there was expo before the exam. But they had to come there in person and write it down.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, it's going to be something that we document for posterity. You said something that may not really apply. You said PDP had rules. Was that part of PDP's rules?
No, it wasn't. But that's part of innovation for proper administration, proper management.
Good to leave it there so that you don't go and lynch others that took over from you that didn't follow the rules.
There were people who actually insisted that they cannot be disqualified
no matter what.
Because they did not take the exams. They were right. You cannot disqualify them because they didn't take the exam.
But they had to pass through the screening.
Here is this point.
Yes.
what right have you got to run a people if you cannot tell them what you want?
I wonder.
I mean, it's just super.
One point on the party matter before we shift. You initiated the building of the PDP secretariat, something that is bigger, more solid, it's more upscale than I think any local government secretariat in Akwa Ibom State. It's like competing with the state secretariat.
Let's
tell the listeners what inspired you, and now you are no longer in PDP.
No. The PDP was an absolutely fantastic party.
Yeah.
I have had like Muhammad Ali used to say, I ain't got no quarrel with no Viet Cong. I ain't got no quarrel with no PDP.
That's right.
I left the PDP on a matter of principle. It was a fine party. I don't know what has happened to it since we left. But at the point I left, it was a national and absolutely determined party to give good governance.
Absolutely.
Certain people came in after I left, so I leave them to worry about what became of the PDP after that.
Worrying about party, we talk about civil service. You were in the party, you now went into local government service commission instead of moving something much bigger that people are expected, maybe like an SSG or whatsoever. You tell a little bit about that, but then what legacy did you leave in the local government system that personally I have? My opinion is that very system is almost non-existent. It's an expensive center. It's not a development center. You were the chairman of Local Government Service Commission. What is your opinion about the local government system when you were there and as we speak now?
At any time, the local government is supposed to be the engine room of rural development.
Yes.
And given the way of Nigerian politics, it has been impossible for that objective to be achieved, primarily because there's been a lot of politicizing of roles. So the way it was structured, now they're trying to make the local government autonomous. How they succeed, I don't know. But to my mind, one of the largest failures of the local government system in Nigeria is the absolute, almost total lack of interest of the local people in the mechanisms of local government.
Is that their fault? People are imposed on them.
Well, let me put
even appointees as supervisors, they come from somewhere.
Let me put it.
The table year syndrome.
Let me put it this way. Ete cannot succeed in going anywhere if the people say to themselves, this is what we want. And then they march boldly to wherever Ete is and say to Ete, well, I agree with you in the sense that we must run a good state. Whatever you want to run, please, we are in support of what you want to do in the interest of the state. But give us our own constitutional privileges. And that includes choosing the people who will represent us.
That has become more troubling looking at the local government autonomy, which even the federal government, we've said on this program that the federal government doesn't even seem to have been prepared for the judgment they got from the court. Now we are stopped. The allocation is not getting to them directly, and some state governors, from what we are hearing, are putting pressure on His Excellency Mr. President to say, leave that matter. If you leave that matter, and that is where you spend quite a great deal of time, and under your tenure, I know that some local government did projects, but that is no longer the issue. So between this local government autonomy, which they can never be an autonomy without, financial autonomy without administrative autonomy. Like the place you headed, you were appointed by the state governor.
I know.
The members of the board appointed by the state governor.
I know.
So how can that work? Is there any hope that the financial autonomy can ever work for the local government?
Let me also address that issue. I really don't think it matters who appoints you. It matters the kind of person that you are. And it matters your interpretation of your role in the office that you hold. Because even the governor was appointed by the people. So it must synchronize at a point the interests of the people. When he now appoints you, I think he says to you, go ye into the local government service commission and do A, B, C, D, E, F. It is your duty as a citizen, it is your duty as a person to say to yourself, will I be able to accomplish this? Or how do I accomplish them? There isn't so much conflict except that in Nigeria, positions are no longer interpreted in terms of
service. Yes.
It's just that simple in my mind.
It's horrible.
Now let me tell you, at the risk of sounding immodest, I've never held a position, any office, from my Boy Scout days that I did not deliver on the, how do you call it? On the mandate, if we must adopt, on the mandate of that office. Because there is a sacrosanct mandate of the office, almost spiritual, every office.
Let me add this, sir. I have a personal philosophy,
Yes.
and it is to the effect that if you cannot deliver more than is expected of you,
Yes.
you are not fit for that position.
Or don't even get there.
Yeah, you have enormous capacity, but we have seen some persons who have nothing to offer being recycled in the system. I don't like the term recycling, but we cannot avoid it. Even in Akwa Ibom State, there's so much terrible recycling going on. But now to this, why did you leave as party chairman? You did not go to National Assembly, you did not go to the National of the Party, you did not become the SSG. There's something the world may not know. I want to extract that thing from you now. Please, oblige me. Why?
There is actually a lot the world does not know.
I believe you.
And those
Just
things,
give a little.
now
In a minute.
Those things happen behind closed doors.
There's time for
Yes.
revelations.
In fairness to
Chief Gospel
Chief
Akpabio,
Gospel Akpabio,
the then governor,
Yes.
who you were the chairman of the
Yes.
party,
He then-
and your midwife is coming to
that's
that.
correct. He then offered me the position of secretary to government.
Awesome.
He did that, and deliberately, he even called my principals, my Oron people I respect, and said to them, I want Total to be secretary to this government.
So why were you not secretary to government?
I told him I don't know anything about this business. I want to run to the party. What I did not disclose at that point publicly was the fact that I thought a trajectory through the party could even be more crucial to Akwa Ibom State, in the sense that in another maybe 8 years, give or take 4 years,
Yeah.
we could have a national chairman from Akwa Ibom State, given the things I had achieved in Abuja as a state chairman. So I made that known. And in fairness again to His Excellency Gospel Akpabio, he agreed.
So what happened?
Oh, I don't know. Many things happen in politics. Like Harold Wilson said, that even 1 hour is a long time
In politics. That 1 hour is too long a time. After all.
So we agreed. And Akpabio,
Yes.
again, in fairness to him, he took me around all the all
States.
the state governors. My form for national vice chairmanship was filled by the state chairman.
Of the party.
No. Of the South.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So, bloody authentic.
So what?
Yeah.
Somehow
That-
your brother from Oro
Yeah.
emerged.
Oh yes. Okay.
What brought the abracadabra then?
Well, I don't know. You know, in these things, it was Christ when they asked him. He says, "Look, but a little time you see me, and a little time you see me no more." The important part of that statement
Yes.
is the disciples who then wondered, what does it mean, a little time you see me, a little time you see me no more?
This
So we all
conversation.
can wonder what
Yeah.
happened in between.
Yeah.
But I must say something about Chief Nkube. He was an absolutely delightful gentleman.
Mm.
He was not part of the conspiracy to dim my trajectory, which was something very many people took upon themselves to do. Ben Pobre was not involved at all. He was sitting in his house.
And they went to you?
Because Akpabio, in his wisdom, rejected those who projected themselves for the position.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And wait for a neutral process.
That is correct.
Let us leave it there. This conversation is deep, but you are hearing this probably for the first time on Open Forum with Susan MKO. Here we go to the roots of issues, and nobody sits here on this hot seat and then leaves blank. His Excellency, actually Twitter to you has come with enormous deposit into this ideas bank for development, state and nation building.